Kenya is banking on luxury and adventure travel that is gaining popularity to position the country as an ideal tourist destination. The Kenya Tourism Board has rolled out a program to work with hospitality industry players such as hotels and airlines to offer incentives that would make Destination Kenya attractive and affordable. Regina Manyara engages Kenya Tourism Board Acting Managing Director John Chirchir on emerging trends in the lucrative tourism sector.
Sandy, pristine beaches and majestic wildlife, part of Kenya's tourism portfolio. But we are yet to reach the COVID-19 pre-numbers. Tonight on KBC Channel 1, we look at the tourism sector and the steps that have been made to make it more profitable and exciting for both domestic and international tourists. Taking us through this conversation is none other than Acting CEO Kenya Tourism Board, John Chirchir. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your time. So July marks the beginning of the tourism high season. We'd want to know how the sector compares this year, 2023 to 2022.
First of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. The tourism sector has seen the beginning of what we normally call the high season, and it's really, compared to the last year, last several years, it's been one of the best. We've seen the signals indicating this in terms of flights and capacity that are now coming into Kenya, with an airline coming into Kenya also from India, Indigo Air. So that showcases that we really up. In terms of recovery from 2019, we are just 10% below that mark, and we've seen an accelerated growth, really helping the sector pick up quickly and grow. Tourism professionals have been able to bring up experiences, not just looking at the high season, which is the migration, but also other areas where now we want to see more increased visitation and giving the customer or the current traveler the experiences that they need. So comparatively, yes, this season is really performing well, and we have seen a lot of busy airports, queues coming into the country, increased frequency of airlines, airlines asking for more permission to have entry into Kenya. So those are good signals. On the ground, we've seen a lot of tour operators also looking for additional vehicles to take clients into Mara and places beyond the Mara. These are good indicators, and we believe that by end of the year, we will have fully recovered and grown beyond the 2019 arrival figures that were 2 million.
Well, that is quite positive. What do you think are the key drivers of this uptick within the sector?
Kenya is known for the, as you introduced, wildlife, beach, culture, heritage, and that has been the strength for which we are known. There are people, there are travelers who know Kenya and the promise that magical Kenya has to offer in terms of really speaking to their needs. So that preference works for us, and it's an expectation. There's pent-up demand, which quite a number of travelers were looking into, going into places of discovery, places that really are fulfilling to them, because after COVID, we realized that we really need to live our life fully. And although it does cost money, people are now willing to ignore the cost a bit and live their dream. So that is a consideration. Number two is the availability of our packages in the distribution channels in the markets, working with travel agencies and tour operators who have packaged Kenya and Africa as a whole. Therefore, our brand being strong and the promise of this season being what it is, we've seen such increased uptake. Our private sector have also been marketing directly, whether it's hotel to operator, giving offers in the market, and that connection with the support system back in the source markets where the tourists are coming from has really helped us to grow. So I will be able to say that the logistical aspects that put together the realization of an experience in Kenya for a tourist is what has really facilitated. And we want to say thank you to our private sector here in Kenya, together with our partners abroad. We've seen demand for air access into Kenya, and I think His Excellency the President didn't pronounce himself in terms of inviting more airlines, especially into the Kenyan coast, because there are opportunities there and we need to see vibrancy in different destinations. So besides the private sector, we've also seen county governments coming up strongly, looking at what they have to offer as counties, and private sector who are with the resident within the counties really bringing out those offers. So as Kenya Tourism Board, we are supportive of that. The mapping of what opportunities lies in terms of products and tourism experiences beyond the known, so that we have wildlife, nature, we have the beach, but other things that we need now to develop into sound tourism portfolios that Kenya is known for. We've seen adventure. Kenya has been mentioned as a top destination in Africa and globally recognized for quite a number of things that are there, whether it's hiking, mountain climbing, quite a number of things, bungee jumping, those are available. There's also the rise of the new traveler, the independent traveler, who is digitally savvy. And the beauty is Kenyans really are good online, and we have a lot of information that is available. So really riding on that, we have both domestic and international visitors do come into Kenya knowing what exactly they want, how they want it packaged, so to the extent that they want to guide their own itinerary and experiences that they wish.
So John, from where you speak, is that Kenya now is gravitating away from the sandy beaches and the landscape as well as wildlife to focus on other aspects, including culture and wellness. How is it going as we speak? Because we have seen, luxury travel is gaining traction. Is this something that you as a marketing agency is keen on tapping on?
Yes, but with correction. Yes, we have what we call bread and butter products that we've sold over the years, and Kenya is known for which Magical Kenya is strongly known for and competitive in that aspect. For a premium traveler, Kenya is an ideal destination of choice. But if you look at the capacity that which can take, for the case of Masai Mara, now that we are what we're calling high season, although Masai Mara is a year-round destination, there's only so much, because we will end up spoiling the nature and the experiences among tourists. Tourists will have a certain expectation. They don't want to see beyond a certain number of cars or too much crowding. If you have a lion experience that maybe has just had a kill and it wants to eat it, the lion must eat, but also the tourist needs to see. So there's a certain number of proportionality. So we are not saying that we are stopping a beach and wildlife. We are saying we want to add to those pillars of nature and wildlife, which is bringing a lot of foreign exchange and high premium tourists to other areas. For example, we can have much more arrivals into our beach and city destinations. And there's so many things that a city experience can offer, into nightlife, cultural experiences, fashion, cuisine, among many others. So we believe that the future has a lot of promise for Kenya, both in value of tourists that each tourist can bring in terms of tourism dollars and purchasing power, and also speaking to the affordability and the numbers that we wish to grow to, so that there is protection of nature and conservation as well, and also there is a balancing act of where do we take the extra. So there are less visitors back. There are places where, if in respect of the amount of tourists going there, the impact on nature might not be that high. Yes, so it's just a matter of clarification. But yes, Kenya is able to really grow, and we're looking for a future that is promising.
The MICE sector has been pushing a lot of travel, especially domestically. What does it portend this year for the sector?
There are initiatives now to make MICE mainstream, not only for domestic market, but even for regional market. We've seen Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and even our neighbors opting to come to Kenya for meetings, and we can be able to offer now the leisure experience after. So MICE continues to be big, especially for city, Mombasa and Nairobi, but we've seen in county headquarters that uptake coming up. And it's really supported the growth of facilities in terms of restaurants, hotel sector, star-rated and non-star rated, and even Airbnb. So the reports that we are receiving, our facilities are doing quite well. Bars into nightlife are also doing very well, but we need more injection in terms of capital and those experiences being brought so that we really truly tap into them and have increased employment as a consequences of all this on various sectors, whether it is transport, waiters, and the multiplier effect, whether it's food and beverage, people supporting them in terms of furniture and etc.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, as a marketing agency, in light of competition, we have heard that South Africa is actually giving us a run for our money. What strategies are you employing to actually push further the magical Kenya experience, or rather what we term as brand Kenya experience?
So the magical Kenya experience, to compare to that of South Africa, quite unique and distinct to each other. There are strengths that we have, there are also strengths that South Africa has, but if you look at what Kenya has to offer, it's really broad, it's authentic and diverse, and also sustainable. So that is what we are known for. But not just looking at competition in terms of arrivals on the type of tourist that is visiting. So the numbers, yes, for South Africa, we know the neighborhood has really been supporting them. For us, we are looking into Africa. We are diversifying our markets to include Africa, where really huge numbers we are expecting to be able to convert, working with our partners and trade.
That is quite positive. And before I let you go, we've had the implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Yes. What impact will it have to intra-African tourism, travel in between the African, or rather across the African continent?
The inter-Africa travel is really a big component for us. Diversification of markets has really uplifted Africa to become one of the key source markets, an opportunity source market for us, because people are now able to travel to regional spaces, regional destinations. So the challenge for us is now to bring up to that awareness where we are going to convert not only Nigerians, South Africans, and our neighbors here to come to Kenya, but even to develop now specific product experiences for them. As you know, Uganda and Tanzania has been among our top rivals, but if you go online, you'll see Nigerians love visiting Kenya. You'll see the regional markets also love visiting Kenya. So we have a product that is sound for them. For example, honeymoon at the coast resonates with Ugandans.
There's a slogan, that has been adopted within the ministry, making culture cool again. Yes. What role is KTB playing in this?
Maasai, Samburu, Swahili, for example, are really iconic, and every visitor to Kenya would like to engage with them. But we are saying, yes, do engage with those ones, but making it really broadly. So our interpretation of culture is, yes, there is that which is organic, which we were born into, but there is also the modern culture, be it fashion, way of lifestyle. I spoke about matatu. Matatu can be a culture. Cuisine, the way infusion is coming up, nightlife experiences. So what is it to have a Nairobi culture? Or if you go to Mombasa, what is the culture and expectation of Mombasa? So those are the things that we want to bring out. So there is let me call it the traditional way of life that we live, whether Maasai, Samburu, Luo, Kalenjin, whatever. So that is brought out clearly, and it's become immersive in the way that we provide information and really direct people to where they get these immersive experiences that they're able to live in, whether it's 1 day or 2 days. But then there's this other aspect of us being Kenyan. What is that Kenyan culture? Okay, what is that cool thing about culture? So there is a modern and there is a tradition. So that's what we are bringing in out in terms of information, that the two. We've seen Maasai beads being fashionable. but it's been changed into a really nice bracelet with the Kenyan flag. That's cool culture. We've seen Swahili henna being adopted during weddings, but you see somebody going to the course and they don't feel like wearing jewelry and they want to have a certain ambience, let me call it, to themselves, if it's just a flower on the hands of a lady, and that becomes really cool culture. So culture is cool again, and that's what we want to bring out. But more importantly, that Kenyans be proud of their culture, even as foreigners come and embrace it, that we are really proud of it ourselves, but finally to preserve and conserve our culture for the future.
Now, the traveler is becoming tech savvy, younger, and looking for specific experiences. As a marketing agency, how are you tapping in onto the online platform to market Kenya?
Yes, digital has really exploded and it is huge. There are many apps and platforms that have been developed to aid independent traveler. So before somebody comes to Kenya or visit any destination, they'll do a lot of search. They'll watch a lot of videos, whether from friends or YouTube. Those are the spaces we want to be in. So the key ingredient there that will feed onto this is really content creation that speak to the needs of those travelers, to be able to be visible to them and show them this is a promise. Number two is really working with influencers, celebrities, and people who have experienced that, come to the destination and had their own experiences that they want to share. So they become advocates for the destination, but now from a digital perspective, where their influence is really critical, and what they say goes and is stronger than the brand speaking on its own behalf. So content creation will really be key, working with influencers and platforms that have huge reach and influence, and really going to the mind of this new traveler, so that we are able to feed them and give them and provide them with the opportunity. So there are those who are independent travelers who will curate everything for themselves and pay everything for themselves, and they may have a program that they may redesign as they go and even be influenced as they go. So those are the kind of things. Then there are those who are modern, digitally savvy, where they'll be able to say, this is the experience I want, but they want a travel agent or a tour operator to be part of it, so that the hassle is given out to somebody else. But they know what to expect, they know what they want, and they know what quality, and they're ready to pay for it. So both in line is what we are working with them, but feeding them with content, utilizing platform like Instagram, TikTok, to reach them, and for them really speaking to themselves, because they discover more quicker, faster than even some of us, and that content will be out. So we'll have destinations that are trending, experiences that are trending. We have celebrities that will come and just with one tweet or with one video, they move massive awareness to a certain experience or information or a brand. So those have become critical, and that's the space we want to play in. But now there are quite a number of players that we must work with, right from the consumer themselves to whoever is facilitating, whether it's the airline, support system on arrival, and how they are received and how they go by. For Kenya, we've not mapped most of our roads, so we will need more investments coming to mapping of the roads, providing information, although there are technology platforms that facilitate them to travel. But with our partners, I believe we are very strong. They have a very strong backup system where now they'll be able to deliver for them. And for every person who has been to Kenya, really, whether it's independent traveler or not, if you go digital, you will find that high ratings is based on people experiences, because our Kenyans really are unique in that way. They come for quite a number of reasons, whether it's wildlife, nature, heritage, but the key thing that they take back home is the people-to-people experience and great memories at that.
Now, you've talked about, undiscovered areas, and I'm using undiscovered with a tinge of salt because we're already discovered as a country. Now, we have circuits that have not gained so much traction, like the Western Circuit and such. What are you doing? What strategies are you employing to ensure that these places, like Western Kenya and towards the North Rift, also get the same kind of viewership and traction going forward, especially focusing on the domestic traveler?
For those destinations that and experience that needs to be discovered, the key thing is first to bring them to light. So awareness is really important. Creating content, showing content to the right audiences in the right format, having publicity around it, even having events taken there. Number two is access, ensuring that this facilitation on how our tourists can actually get there, have the experience and come back and tell a great story. So whether it's access by road or facilities that are enabling for them, that becomes really, really critical. So awareness and access are really key in my opinion. Finally, not really finally, but affordability as well. For domestic tourists, because we'll be taking them away mostly from large cities to go into hinterland, if I get you right. So affordability will be key. Really speaking to somebody who is making sure the experience is affordable, that they are aware of the cost and everything that pertains to that. So if you have to go for 2 days, then you know this is how much it's going to cost. But number one is awareness and availing information around it, whether it's packaged for a tour operator or a travel agent to facilitate it, or an independent traveler who's just going to drive into it, whether by themselves or a group of friends. Yes. So those ones become critical in terms of bringing them to light and making them not only undiscovered, but really used and getting more frequent tourists.
Now, what partnerships is KTB looking at in its, you have a mandate of marketing Brand Kenya. What partnerships are you looking at?
In our implementation of our work plans and our strategic plan that we are developing now, partnership is really a critical value that we do have, and it's really, we can't do without partnership because our resources are not really endless, and we need to bring partners who are either competent in terms of access to specific audiences that we want to, or we have a certain win-win when we collaborate. So partnership becomes critical, whether it's with the media, the private sector, county governments in themselves. Partnership becomes critical. So we will be doing a lot of partnership programs on areas that are priority, not only in diversification of product and experiences, but also in development of content, storytelling, with media, with celebrities, the whole range of it, so that all these experiences are brought to light to the most important person, who is a traveler, to prefer first Kenya, and then now to have the choice of where to go in Kenya, and based on their interests, which activities or experiences they wish to have.
And since we cannot do without partnerships, what role is the marketing agency playing, towards climate adaptation, given that the tourism sector is quite reactive to what is happening within the climate?
Climate adaptation, climate change, and really having tourism being alive to climate is really practical here in Kenya. We saw what happened in the dry spell that we had, where wildlife was really affected badly to a point of by humans. Kenya Wildlife Service, which we give kudos together with the minister. We must adapt to climate change. We must pick in our tourism. So we are known as Kenya as a sustainable destination for wildlife, but not only protecting wildlife in a way of really conserving them, but now even going further and living to the challenges of climate change. So climate, dry weather, and having issues of maybe too much rainfall leading to floodings are things that we are alive to today. And recently, I think it was about last week, where it was the hottest day ever on earth, it was reported. So it is something that is current. So the tourists coming to Kenya, we are speaking to them to be aware of issues around climate, impact on climate, impact on the environment, the need to move away from plastic, for example, speaks to climate. The need for conservation of wildlife diverse species, which might be challenged if we go a certain direction and there's climate change. So that conscious traveler is what we are speaking to, and those are the people who we can tap to come to Kenya, because they believe and they know that by coming to Kenya they are contributing, whether it's to tree planting, whether it's to awareness, or supporting a destination that is really alive to climate change. And His Excellency the President has been on the forefront of this, on what it means that we may have actually no nation, no earth in the near future if we do not adapt.
Now, in parting, We have seen how the sector has behaved, at least for the first 6 months of 2023. Do you think that we're going to meet this year's target when it comes to tourist arrivals?
As a destination, we are going to achieve and surpass our number. Not only for this year, but we are looking for really aggressive growth into the future as investments into the required facilities are put in place. So we are happy with the invitation of opening up of those airlines to fly into Mombasa, for which we appreciate. I think the tourism industry in Mombasa is going to be even more vibrant. So those are the steps for which we are going to, not only from the logistic perspective, but also from the product packaging perspective and our marketing that will now be really transformational.
Indeed. Well, there you've had it. We have been speaking to the acting CEO, Kenya Tourism Board, there, John Churchill, who is exuding a lot of confidence of the sector returning to profitability after that particular glitch that was led by the COVID-19 pandemic. I've been your host, Regina Manyara. You're watching KBC Channel 1.